In the Pokémon anime, most Pokémon are known to say their names as their only form of speech, with the exception of some Pokémon that speak by grunting or roaring, and others that communicate through telepathy. If you want to know a Pokémon's name, just wait for it to say something. This is something that Pokémon fans such as myself simply accepted when we were younger, but as we got older we started to realize that this was actually kind of odd. Animals in the real world don't say their names, so why would Pokémon say their names? One common theory is that Pokémon don't say their names, but rather humans name them after what they heard them saying. This idea makes pretty good sense on the surface, but there are a few problems with it. First is that this doesn't explain how Pokémon that don't say their names were named. And second, considering many Pokémon's names contain puns or other wordplay, it seems weird that Pokémon would just say their names naturally. In doing research for this topic, I found an archived Reddit post from about a year ago that offers an alternative theory. I won't go into full detail on the theory because I think it would be best to read the original post, which I'll link with an annotation here as well as in the description. But to summarize, Redditor El Straw Fedora proposed that Pokémon evolved to say their names as a means of becoming closer with humans. Basically, Pokémon were self-aware enough to recognize that humans were calling them by specific names, and Pokémon that learned to say their names became more desirable to humans, and their bond with humans consequently gave them a survival advantage over other Pokémon of their species. This theory also accounts for why a lot of larger, more intimidating Pokémon don't say their names, because in a time before Pokéballs, humans would be less likely to want to approach and befriend the bigger, scarier Pokémon, so these Pokémon never had a reason to learn their names. One thing this theory doesn't explain is why, for example, a Charmander that says its name evolves into a Charmeleon and instantly says its new name, then finally evolves into a Charizard and doesn't say anything except roaring. But other than that, it's a well-done theory that's pretty believable. However, I want to approach this question from a different angle. Rather than trying to rationalize why Pokémon saying their names makes sense within the Pokémon universe, I want to speculate on why the creators of the Pokémon anime decided that Pokémon should say their names in the first place. When Pokémon originated as a video game, they had cries rather than actually speaking, and they still do today. This has since been changed for Pikachu as of Generation 6, but to this day this is the only exception. So we know that Pokémon saying their names was done specifically for the anime. But why? One explanation is that, knowing the anime was targeted toward children to cross-promote the games, Pokémon were made to say their names so that kids would learn to identify them more easily. While more than 700 Pokémon are currently in existence, memorizing the names of even 150 Pokémon is quite the feat, so having Pokémon say their names in the anime, along with the inclusion of the Poké-Rap, could be helpful in getting the names to stick. The idea that this was done with kids in mind is further evidenced by the fact that Pokémon don't say their names in the Pokémon Origins anime, which was specifically targeted toward older Pokémon fans. Instead, the Pokémon in that series make more animalistic sounds. Case closed then? Well, maybe, but I wanted to add one more idea that I haven't seen brought up yet. If you look at the Japanese names of the Generation 1 Pokémon, you'll notice that several of them contain animal sounds or other onomatopoeia. Perhaps the most well-known example is Pikachu, whose name is the same in all languages and comes from Pika Pika, the Japanese onomatopoeia for sparkle, and Choo Choo, the Japanese sound for squeaking, like the sound a mouse makes. Another obvious example is Meowth, whose English name as well as its Japanese name, Nyarth, comes from the sound a cat makes in their respective languages. But there are more than just those. Pidgey's Japanese name comes from the sound a pigeon makes. Vulpix's name comes from the sound a fox makes. Zubat's name comes from the sound of a sharp tool piercing something, which might also sound like the sound a bat makes. Poliwag's evolutionary line gets their names from the Japanese sound for slithering. Graveler and Golem get theirs from the Japanese sound for rolling or tumbling. Voltorb gets its name from the sound of an electric shock, and Lickitung gets its name from the sound of a certain type of eating. Do you see where I'm going with this? Let's use Meowth as an example. Meowth's name comes from the sound a cat makes, so if Meowth says its name, it's also making the sound a cat makes, and Meowth is a cat. What I'm saying here is that, even though not every Pokémon gets their name from some type of animal sound or sound effect, the fact that several of them do might have contributed to giving the creators of the Pokémon anime the idea to having Pokémon say their name, because a lot of Pokémon names were based off some onomatopoeia associated with that Pokémon. Of course, since Pokémon say their names, I guess that makes all Pokemon names onomatopoeia anyway. Oh well, I thought it was a cool observation anyway. Hey guys, thanks for watching this Sweet Speculation. If you want to see more Sweet Speculation, go ahead and click the annotation to see a whole playlist of them. Or click here to see the top 10 Pokemon that I just can't pronounce right. Or if you're more into gameplay videos, click here to go to the playlist for my limited heal run of Pokemon Yellow. Also, don't forget to like this video and leave a comment letting me know what you thought of this theory, as well as any ideas you have for new theories. Also, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe because it really does mean a lot to me. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.